Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of EOXS's Stories on Steel. This is a steel industry podcast featuring the big names of the business and the advice/stories they've accrued over their years as insiders. Steel has been a vital component in American life for well over a century, and the men and women who've helped it flourish are a diverse group of innovators full of interesting tales. We hope to share some of said tales here with you today. Thanks again to EOXS for providing this platform. In addition to this show, they are bringing businesses online by providing a standardized digital workspace for all your steel-related needs. Today, we're thrilled to sit down for an in-depth conversation regarding steel marketing with longtime steel marketer Candice Coatsolonia. And without a doubt, this is definitely our most positive and uplifting episode to date, so please enjoy. Candice, thank you once again for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Just for our listeners and our viewers, I would love if they could get a brief introduction to how you found the steel industry. What is the story of Candice? Let's start with that.
Okay, so the story of Candice. So I actually am second generation steel worker. Both of my parents actually were in the steel industry. That is technically in a way how I was exposed to the steel industry. However, I actually have a pharmaceutical background. I worked in the pharmacy for over 7 years. And in fact, prior to me even working in the pharmacy, I had an internship that when I was in high school, you can have an internship. So you would like leave work and, go. And even prior to me going away to college to get my undergrad, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do because it's funny because every day I'm figuring something else out, and what happened is prior to me going away to college, my mother actually worked at Beta Steel. It's no longer called Beta Steel, but she's known as Beta Barb. And I thought I wanted to be an accountant, which is hilarious because I love numbers. I'm obsessed. I have a beautiful, colorful painting. I'm a very colorful, eccentric person. And she said, well, you know what, Candice, like, let me talk to them and see, because my mother's story is an amazing story too. And she's my rock. I admire her in so many ways. She's amazing. With that being said, I've worked very hard myself to get where I am today, but I've had two wonderful parents that literally raised me the right way, even though some days I was like, man, I just feel like I'm always like, I want them to be proud of me because I'm proud of me. I can look at myself and know how hard I work, but know that I did it. They did not help me. They've guided me as I was younger. However, I knew that they were never going to give me money for certain things. I had to earn that myself. And so back when I was like 17, 18 years old, I was able to make money because I knew when I was going away to college, my father had told me, Candice, when you're going to, because that's one thing my parents did do for me that I will never forget. And I'm forever so grateful, is that my father thought it was extremely important that I went away to college because he didn't want me at home, and he was going to pay for my undergrad. However, if I wanted to go to the movies, or if I wanted to go get clothes, because I love my clothes, I love my style. If I wanted to go out to dinner or eat, I had to pay for that. So since I was a young kid, I had chores and all these things I had to do. So I would always put money in the bank because my dad said, you know what? If you want something, if you want gas in your car, if you want a car to drive, you're going to pay for these things. So I would have to put half of my paycheck in the bank.
I think that real quick, I just think it's very important that parents give lessons like that, like establish boundaries and establish expectations for life. And to briefly go back, just because I think it's amazing, that program you talked about in high school, I had a very similar one. It was called Senior Experience, and you could essentially find work and take off the last few months of school and go do that instead of going to classes. And I think programs like that are really good for gauging what you want to do.
It's so interesting to me too, because just even growing up, I think about school. I actually even thought about being a teacher, but honestly, I didn't know they didn't pay a lot. So I had 3 jobs because I knew my dad wasn't going to give me money and I wanted stuff. So, or my mom. right? Like I had to work hard for what I had. So I would handle 3 jobs and going to college and even in high school. And I was involved in sports because my dad thought it was important too to like be in sports and be part of the team. So, but I was always the only girl because of the fact that both of my parents had to work because we didn't have money. My parents, I'm kind of crafty because of the fact like we didn't have money. My dad started off in the steel. He's no longer there. He hasn't been in the steel industry for over 20 years. But when he first started out, he, he was, I don't know if he was part of the union. It's neither here nor there. With that being said, we cut coupons. We had to make our clothes. Like we didn't have money. Like we weren't provided these things. So we had to figure ways out. We always had food. But it was tough. Times were tough. And our family doesn't live in Northwest Indiana. Like, in fact, we actually moved back to the East Coast. That's where all my like other families at. I don't have a real aunt or uncle that lives in the state of Indiana. Like they're all in the East Coast. And so I lived there. And ironically, because of my dad's job, we actually moved back to our hometown and they still have the same house because my dad couldn't sell our house so that he rented it out. And they still actually to this day live in that same house that I grew up in, which is crazy. But they just put a couple additions on because they're never going to move.
I mean, I
And
think that kind of resiliency from the episodes we've done, that kind of resiliency is it's so many people with like those backgrounds of struggle and needing to overcome things is common in the steel industry, and in a way it makes sense, resilient material, resilient people, it has that been your experience in your the part of the steel industry that you've been familiar with and a part of? Have you dealt with a similar caliber of person?
100%. I mean, me, I mean, I have always been very successful, but, I went back to when, my longevity of my career is ArcelorMittal. So like after I went away to college, I was working the pharmacy. I was going to be a pharmacist. Then they changed it to like 6 years instead of 5. And it's just was one of those things where I got my associates, I got my bachelor's degree at Purdue. And then I was like, what am I going to do? Well, then after I graduated, then there was an opening at ArcelorMittal, but it wasn't ArcelorMittal at the time. It was Mittal. It had Mr. Mittal, Lakshmi Mittal had purchased a bunch of different steel companies. I know a lot about it because I just talk to people and people tell me stories, and who doesn't love a good story, and when I was talking to my mom about some things, about what I want to do. And she's like, well, I think there might be an opening. Well, I had to earn that. I had to go through a very vigorous process of these interviews. And I remember the people that trained me even interviewing me still to this day. Some of them are retired now. With that being said, I got my in. And so I was working in our facility. It was Mittal at the time at Burns Harbor, which is the old Bethlehem Steel, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with because there was, there was actually Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which no longer exists, although it's a casino now. And I actually have been meaning to check it out because my family that lives out that way is right there. So that's on my bucket list. It's just that, like you get busy doing things, right? Anyway, but yeah, so my longevity of my career was at ArcelorMittal. I was there for almost 11 years of my career, and it was the most amazing experience. I met so many incredible people, and I know that a lot of it has to do with me too and who I am as a person, but it was also because of how I was raised, and my mother actually still is in the industry, because it was kind of funny because one company that I went to, we were competing against each other and we couldn't talk about it because I respect my company and she obviously respects her company and she's amazing. There's been people to tell me she's a legend. Of course, I think she's a unicorn. With that being said, most legends are either dead or retired. And, thank the good Lord, she's not retired or, dead, right? I pray for her every day. But she was a good mentor to me too, and I as well for her, when she, has things going on and stuff like that, I try to give her guidance because I can see it from all aspects because I've held a lot of different positions in my day that I've been exposed to a lot of different things. And it's been nice because I've learned something, and that's the most important thing. In my opinion, I believe that once you stop learning, you die. I think that an active mind keeps you going. And I've always, people are like, God, Candice, how do you have so much energy? Like, I barely sleep, and that sleep is extremely important. I'm not saying it's not, but my brain can't shut off. With that being said, I'm like, have you met me? And have you met my mother? We're an energizer bunny. We keep going and going and going. But sometimes the battery dies, right?
That's a very apt description of the process. And to pause at ArcelorMittal just for a moment, you were in the sales and marketing department while you were there. You served as a liaison between the clients and producing mills. So I think marketing something like steel or steel companies is a very interesting proposal. It's an interesting problem just because everyone, like, there's a general consensus of what it is, what you're getting. So how is steel marketed from your experience?
Well, in my opinion, it's in different ways. Okay. Because to me, I think my jammy jam is marketing, because I know how to network. I think people are like, how do you just go up to people and you're so natural and you're so outgoing and stuff? What people don't understand is that's not easy. It's intimidating. I mean, I was working in a very male dominated industry, and I was dealing with a lot of things, but I branded myself. Not only did I brand myself, I branded that company. And ArcelorMittal's whole thing is the reason that they switched names a million times. I mean, I know so many stories, and it's great stories. And I've helped customers kind of, if they were willing to listen, to explain, because ArcelorMittal's, it was, because I don't know if you're aware of this or not, that company got bought out by Cleveland Cliffs.
Yeah.
And, I never saw a day coming, but never say never, because trust me when I tell you, Kevin, I've said a lot of nevers. Okay. So never say never. With that all, though, it's interesting to me that happened. And you have to take risk in life too. And I was always kind of scared to take risks because I was with ArcelorMittal for almost 11 years of my life. That was my family. I loved it. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't rainbows and sunshines. Trust me. People think, oh, you're in sales and marketing. Like, you live this lifestyle. You don't understand how hard it is. It's very hard, but I worked. I mean, people will be like, Candice, I think something's wrong with your email. I'm getting an email from you at 12:30 at night. I'm like, no, nothing's wrong with the internet. I was sending you an email because I get back to people and I show up. I have to entertain customers. If I'm out till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with my customer, you bet your bottom dollar that I'm showing up to work at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. And you just got to do it. And as much as
The grind truly never stops.
Grind, because nothing's going to happen when you're sleeping. And I also, I'm not a drinker. I mean, like, I'm a social drinker, but I don't drink much. I certainly don't do drugs. I came up with YOLO. Have you ever heard of YOLO?
Yes.
Okay. I'm totally YOLOing it up with this pandemic. And I also HOLOing it up. And what I mean by that is, because people are like, HOLO, what does that mean? I'm high on life. Okay.
I mean, that's in a very depressing time. That is very important,
No,
so I think that's very healthy for that. Just to go back, because we're covering a lot of ground and I want to make sure we don't miss anything. You talked about being out with clients, potentially very late into the evening. So what is your process for approaching a potential buyer? Like, tell us more about that interaction, because that's not something we really talk much about.
Well, it really depends on the situation too, so, you have larger customers and stuff like that, but you do your research. You got to do your homework. I had a list of things, I don't know if they're small companies or not. I don't even care if you're small or not. My whole thing is I'm a hunter. You got to be a hunter. You got some established business maybe, that you got some hunting business. What are you? What do you want to do? Well, I'm pretty aggressive. I don't take that as a bad thing. Like, I need to get things done. And I got to get in the door. So you got to get through the gatekeeper. And it's not an easy process. Maybe some it is, maybe some it's not. I come walking in, they're like, oh, who's this? Well, you know what? I don't know everything. But what I will do is I'll find out for you and I will show up. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Unless God, has a plan for me that I'm unaware of, I'm going to be there and I'm going to show up and I'm going to do my job. And when I'm trying, and I've held different positions, like in outside sales, let's just say in general, there's different customers. I have to be a chameleon, right? because everybody's different, and there's things, with, I was looking at questions that you sent me, and when you're asking me, why don't companies want to go online? Well, I think that a lot of companies or people, and I can't speak for everyone, but just my experiences, I think that some people are resistant to it because they don't really understand. They don't really understand how technology works. I mean, we're living in 2020 right now, where none of us thought that this whole pandemic was going to happen, that COVID was going to come into place. And a lot of things are online. And think about it 20 years ago, when prior to like email and stuff, like, do we think that email was going to be the way to talk? And also, I think that on hindsight, I have buyers or presidents of the company, when I'm out traveling, I'm a road warrior. I'm out traveling. I can't be looking at my phone. Like I'm driving. This is why I have a team. A team to me is extremely important, extremely important. I wouldn't be successful without my team. I need a team, and I would have buyers calling me, screaming at me like, I sent you an email 10 minutes ago. Why didn't you respond to me? Well, I have a team. I'm driving. I'm like stuck in traffic. Like I'm dodging truck drivers, but I'm not going to say that to them, but let me see what's going on. And then I got to get somebody to find out, like, why aren't you responding to him? Or maybe, Mother Nature called. I mean, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of times there's certain people that maybe are set in their ways, and that maybe that they're just intimidated, or they feel embarrassed that they don't know how to answer a question. So what I mean by that is, present day, right now, you and I, because I even had spoke earlier, like yesterday, I think it was last week, I had said, I'm going to be back in California in the end of December. So, and I noticed that your guys' company was based in Santa Monica. So I said, well, if you want, I'll drive to Santa Monica because I'm coming into California anyway, and I'll come and I'll meet with you guys in person. And she had mentioned that actually you guys were waiting after hours when everyone was gone. So then that's why we were going to just do this online, right?
Yeah.
So that even works for me too. So we're really blessed that we do have this technology, but sometimes it's not the end all, because I think it's extremely important that people see each other, right? In my opinion, because I think I'm a jokester, I'm kind of sarcastic, but laughter is my medicine. And it's one of these things where it's so important to see and to be able to see your face and to smile. So like, this is really important that I get to see who I'm talking to, because people judge. And also I need to get in front of the customer, and I need to understand what's going on, because I also do my research. I don't want to share all my secrets that I do, but
real quick, just as I went to school for journalism and media. That I got my master's in marketing, so I understand the importance that like physical, communication and contact can be to a lot of interactions. So do you conduct communication on the phone differently than you do if in a webcam scenario or in person?
100%. I
Okay,
do.
talk a little bit about those differences.
I do. When you're seeing someone, like, to me, I was raised to dress to impress, and also I love my style. Like, I have a unique it's interesting, not to get off topic, but this is something I'm really proud about. And I want to share this because, in high school, there was a leadership program. I graduated with over 1,000 people, and only 25 of us got picked for this leadership program. I didn't even know about this. I just was told, this is the class you're going to be in. I could have graduated high school with honors midterm, but I've had FOMO my whole life, fear of missing out. Okay. And I didn't want to graduate midterm and start college right away, because I knew I was going to college, because my dad's like, you're going to college. Like, this is what's happening, which is fine. But I was like, no way. Like, I'm having so much fun. And so I stayed, and I was chosen to be part of this leadership program. And we got to leave like our class, and there was only 25 of us, and it was amazing because I'm still friends with these people to this day. And we got to go to a school to teach kids from grades like kindergarten to 5th grade. So I had like 2nd graders and I had 5th graders, and teach them about business and teach them about being a team. And we came up with little ideas. Like, you remember wrestling? WWF. We made them little bling belts, like the kids to wear. And so, I'm sorry, that's my Alexa talking to me. Hold on, sister. So the little, wrestling belt that had,
Championship belt.
Yes. So we did these things. And then I don't know if you're familiar with Junior Achievement.
Not really.
It's so amazing. So Junior Achievement and ArcelorMittal was a part of it, but even prior to me even working for ArcelorMittal, I was part of Junior Achievement, and I was able to, and this was volunteer. I'm passionate about volunteering. I volunteer all day long. Like, I love it. In fact, that's what I've put a lot of my time into too, because a lot of the organizations like AWMI, which I do want to represent AWMI on this call, because the Association of Women in the Metals Industry, I'm on the Chicago chapter. I was on the board before. I'm actually second generation. My mom was on the board, not when I was. I'm passionate about it. In fact, they laugh at me because they always sign me up to do all the raffles, because they know I'm going to sell all these raffles, because I'll just talk to people and like make them laugh and just tell them, doesn't matter. But, and I apologize for that going off.
No problem. If you want to, real quick, I hate to say it, but if you want to just go and unplug it, okay. that would be great.
1 second. I apologize.
No problem.
I'm back. Sorry
All
about
right.
that. So, now where were we at? Keep me on track here. I gotta stay.
Association of Women in the Metals Industry.
Yeah. Association of Women in the Metals Industry. It actually started in 1981 in California, but it has different chapters. In fact, I don't even think the California chapter exists anymore. I'm on the Chicago chapter. I've always been on the Chicago chapter. It's amazing. It's a great thing. There's certain things I'm not, it just kind of stinks right now because everything's like live every month, and I need to see people. So I actually started volunteering with our local township to like hand out food and stuff. And it's honestly like the highlight of my week, although now some other people are kind of taking over with this pandemic, but it just always brings a smile to my face, because to be able to give back and put a smile on people's faces. And, this year, I could have really been depressed, quite frankly, but I turned, lemons into lemonade. And trust me when I tell you, brother, trust me when I tell you, because I was working for a steel company that I was very happy at. This steel company, they took me in like family. In fact, they pretty much formed a position for me, and I loved it. And I was a processing manager at, it was called Heitman Steel in East Chicago. I'll represent them. And amazing. And they were so nice to me, and they were such a family company, and they were great. Well, this pandemic hit, and did you ever think that I was going to get furloughed? So I was furloughed, and my boss told me, well, I think it'll just be a month. And I was like, okay, okay. But it was scary. Like, you get your like anxiety goes up. What do you mean this is happening? Okay. And I'm trying to take it as what is like, I'm very educated. I went back to school. I got my master's degree in business at Indiana University. I graduated with a 3.95, in addition to working at ArcelorMittal, working like 60, 75 hours a week. Like, I busted my butt. I sacrificed
and I would just like to briefly say congratulations. That is a very rough get. I got my master's degree, some would say by the skin of my teeth, not a 3.95. So you really flew away with it.
I busted my butt. In addition to, I wound up having to pay all that money back. I had to, because I left, because I took a risk, and it was a good risk, because I've had the most memorable experiences, and one of the most memorable business trips that I have had was because I left ArcelorMittal. Because trust me when I tell you this, I thought I was going to breathe my last breath at ArcelorMittal. I really did. I pretty much dedicated my life to that company. I did. But also, I started off there, I worked my way up, then kind of like had some changes, budgets got cut back in like 2000, and I don't even know what year it was. I was on like the SAP. Doesn't matter. All I know is I know what I worked hard for, and what I'm passionate about. And I take a lot of pride in what I do. I take a lot of pride in everything that I do. And, when I got approached to leave ArcelorMittal, I had to do some reflecting to say, like, do I want to do this or do I not? Because I was comfortable, right? I knew all my customers. I knew it. Did I not bust my butt? Yeah, of course. I was salaried. That doesn't matter. I was working so many hours all the time. I was on call 24/7. With that being said, I also went back to school to get my MBA because I wanted to do something else. I had goals for myself. And in my opinion, I was never going to get there with ArcelorMittal. So when I was approached by this recruiter and he started talking to me, he told me that there was a company, it was in Chicago, to sell stainless steel. Well, I've never sold stainless steel before. I mean, I can sell anything. I mean, if I learn the product, I just got to know how to talk to people and then I'll sell it. And if I believe in the product and I believe in what I'm doing, I'll be successful. It's not going to be easy, but I'll work for it. And it was a great experience. That company was amazing. I made so many friends. And in fact, me leaving ArcelorMittal, even it was a very hard decision for me to do. I remember when I told the division manager, I wrote a letter and I was so nervous. I was so nervous because, I've been with the company for almost 11 years. Like, how am I going to go and tell them I'm leaving them? How am I going to do this? But really, I'm replaceable. Everybody's replaceable. Although I don't really think I'm replaceable, to be honest with you. I'm one of a kind. So are you.
I can say, even though this conversation has been short thus far, that is very evident. You are one of a kind, Candice, and we're all getting that. I hope our viewers are getting that.
Thank you. But I remember when I handed him, I didn't even know what to say. I just handed him, and in fact, my new boss was called me right before and had said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Well, I'm getting ready to tell him. I don't know how to do this." And I kept it quiet because everything can change, right? Everything can change. Something could have happened with the company. I mean, the company could have set on fire. In fact, it's kind of ironic because I went to the company and a car set on fire and I was asking my boss, "What did you get me into?" Because I was in training. I was like, "What'd you get me into? I got this car set on fire right now. I have pictures. I'll prove it to you. I'll send it to you later." But anyway, it doesn't matter. Sticking with the story. So I told my division manager, I handed him the letter and he read it and he was just like, I think he legitimately thought I was joking. I was like, "I'm not joking." But you know what he said to me? He looked at me and he said, "You know what, Candice? If you were my daughter, I would be telling you to do the same exact thing." And that meant something. And I will never forget that. That man is now retired, but it meant something to me. It really did. And so I went and started working for a company called Combined Metals of Chicago. It was amazing, amazing people. I mean, I loved it there. I loved it there. And because of who I am, I went out to go watch my Cubbies in Chicago. I met some gentlemen that were all flown in watching the Cubs game. It was right around the World Series time, And I met a man that got flown in from the East Coast, over by New York. And him and a bunch of other people from Florida, people from all over the States flew in. And we're learning how to use a CNC machine, a new machine. And I just started talking to this guy and I found out he buys stainless steel. So I just started writing notes because I'm like an old, little lady here writing down notes because you got to write things down. So they're all drinking, having a good time. And I'm writing all these notes down, taking a picture with it because I know you don't know me, but I take a lot of pictures, but I do it intentionally. There's reasons for it. And so I took a picture of it, wrote down all these notes, and I followed up with this man named Jim. I followed up with him. Would you believe that this turned into one of the most amazing and memorable business trips of my life? I wound up being able to fly out to New York City, Manhattan, which I've been there before. In fact, it's very close to my heart because when I turned 21, my mother took me there, not my birthday in January, but she took me in August and we had the best time ever.
So August of last year?
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I moisturize. I'm 100% natural, 100%. A lot of water. I've never had any work done. In fact, when I was told I was going to be live, I was laughing because I haven't even dyed my hair in almost 2 years. Okay, this is 100% natural. The only thing I've had done is LASIK surgery. So, but God and my father blessed me with these eyes. So anyway, because I don't wear contacts. All right, but anyway, getting back to the story, I was able to. I flew my boss and my tech rep out to New York City. We got behind the scene access. I'm talking badges and all this stuff. and I know the guy's name. I'm not going to share it because I don't need all these people calling this man. But I got this guy's name, and because of this, he bought stainless steel for me. It was part of a project for the new World Trade Centers. And I got behind the scenes. So I brought my selfie stick, and I was in, and of course my boss was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just getting this on camera. Like, I'm behind the scenes. This is my steel that I sold. I did this for this project. We're getting this, whatever. But I still have them, and I never will forget that. And it was amazing. It was amazing. It was the best thing ever. And I did this all because I took notes and did everything. And
I think that, Candice, that is an amazing story. Unfortunately, we're running close to time right now. Otherwise, I'd let you go. We have a hard cap on these episodes.
do I need to put the mask on?
Oh, no, you're good. I just, do you have any closing sort of short remarks for any, maybe like, because women have been sort of a sub theme of this episode, you know, women in your industry.
Yeah.
Do you have any message for women looking to get into the steel industry?
Well, here's the thing. You know, it's not just about women, because I have mostly platonic relationships with anybody. I don't, and my whole thing is, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do. You stay good to people. I always have good intentions. I care about people. Maybe sometimes my approach and delivery isn't the best, but I tell you, it comes from a good place. With that being said, show up. And I was told that in school. You show up. Me getting my master's degree was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Did I have to pay a lot of money for it? 100%, but it was worth every single penny, and it was worth my time. Because let me tell you this, what is one thing in life you don't get back?
Time.
It's priceless. It's priceless. You took time out to talk to me today, and I thank you for that. It really means a lot to me. It really does. And I'm grateful every single day. And I believe in God. I actually have a lot of men I know upstairs that are looking down on me, and women that are looking down at me. There was a president of AWMI that she was younger than me. It doesn't matter. She was an amazing person. She was the president of AWMI. And unfortunately, last year she passed away from breast cancer. And she's an amazing person. And she saw something in me too. And I will never forget her. And I think about her all the time. And she's amazing. And I met so many amazing people in this industry. I really did. My mentors, I'll never forget that. But they took time out for me, and they listened to me, and I listened to them, because some people might think I don't listen. Trust me.
Candice, I want you to know we're on a limited time. Just like, if we cut, I want it to be known that it's not because I hung up, because this is all phenomenal. Yeah. So again, Candice, thank you so much for your time and your energy and your message. I think it's all very important. And we hope to have you back. We really do, for a much longer episode.
Kevin, we're new friends, man.
We're new friends, Candice.
I just made a third friend today. Every day, make it a point to make new friends. Say hi to people. Be nice. Be kind, please. Be kind to people. You never know what's going on with someone. You didn't even get to hear what happened to me this year. You didn't even get to.
That's another episode. A whole nother episode.
This is number 6. I'll be on.
All right.
You call me. You got my number.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Candice. I really appreciate you.
You and the missus have an amazing day. You guys stay healthy, okay?
All right. You as well.
It was a pleasure.